Welcome to Thelma FM's Life Story podcast and part 2 of our special Mickey Weir edition. In this concluding instalment, we hear of Mickey's triumphant return to Hibs from Luton, of training with Stevie Archibald and John Collins, struggling with debilitating back injuries, and the famous League Cup triumph against Dunfermline in 1991, in the wake of Wallace Mercer's controversial attempt at a merger with Hearts the year before. The story continues with Mickey's time playing for Millwall, emotional relegation battles at Motherwell, coaching the youth teams, going into management with Keith Wright, a life after football, and watching the 2016 Cup win as a fan with his son, back where it all started. Into the studio we go. So welcome back to part 2 of our interview with Hibs legend Mickey Weir. We rejoin Mickey's story at a time when, just at the end of your time at Luton, Mickey, that's where we were, and that was obviously a difficult time with the plastic pitch and the injuries. Did you have any happy memories of that time at all?
No, yeah, I enjoyed my time there. I mean, the club was lovely club, lovely people. Played a lot of good football players at the time, you know. Internationals, Mick Hartford and Steve Foster. A lot of really, really good players. Mal Donachie was an outstanding footballer. There was so many. A good memory. The only thing that really disrupted my time at Luton was the pitch. It was hard work for me, you know. I found it really hard work. Going home for training stiff every day, and it was just, and I knew, as I said to you before early on, that it was going to become a problem for me, and it wasn't until later in life that I realised that short spell, although it was just short, I knew right away that I was going to suffer for it, which I did.
And a transfer in those days, and it's probably a bit more above board these days. When you came to the end of your time at Luton, is that someone from Hibs reaching out to you to say, do you fancy coming back, or is that you saying to maybe contacts at Hibs, I fancy coming back up the road? How did it work?
Well, it worked. It was actually me that tried to push it, because I just basically had enough, and I thought I wasn't enjoying it. Life's too short not to enjoy a football career, so I knew I had to try and do something. So I kind of instigated it myself. I got in contact with a couple of people and said I was looking to try and get back up the roads, and it happened very quickly actually. The club found out about it. I don't know what the workings were. I was speaking to Luton, but they agreed the fee, and I was quickly taken up the road. And saying that, Ray Harford was the manager. He was a fantastic man, a really, really nice man, outstanding coach, way ahead of his time. What a coach, very, very good. And I look at some of the tactical stuff that they're organising nowadays in training. He was doing that way back then. He was very, very good. I never really seen him as a manager. I seen him as a coach, and I think he worked with Kenny Dalglish later, and that proved that he was definitely a very good coach, and he was a nice man. I felt actually I'd let him down a wee bit, because I had to be honest with him, but I did feel I'd let him down a wee bit, because he liked the way I played football. He liked my style, and he just kept saying to me, can you give us a wee bit more time, give a wee bit more time. But I just knew in my heart, I thought, no, it's not working for me. But the funny thing was, when I actually agreed to leave, then I got a couple of calls from other clubs. The great Graham Taylor phoned me. He was at Aston Villa at the time, and he tried to persuade me to go to Aston Villa, so it was a wee bit up in the air. But once I knew I was going to return to Hibs, I made my mind up a wee bit. But I did have offers to stay. It was one of those decisions, do I go for it, or do I just come back up the road? And I think I made the right decision.
So back at Hibs, it immediately felt like home again?
Yeah, it was just a great feeling coming back up to your old club. But it was just a relief, to be fair, because I just knew once I got back, I started to get back to being myself again. I had a horrible time with a few injuries. I had a hamstring injury that was annoying me. And to be fair, I wasn't 100% fit when I came up, and I was carrying a bit of weight as well, because I hadn't been training as much. But it took me a wee bit of time. I never really felt I was fit enough to get going the way I wanted to play. And then I got a few interruptions with injury again, type thing. But certainly when I came, I knew it was just a matter of getting myself tuned in, getting myself really fit and get going again. But it did take time, you know, because I had a few niggles, hamstrings and my back injury and that type of things. It was just, and I had to be 100% right before I could play, you know, because I always had something in my mind that my hamstring was going to go, and it's a terrible thing as a footballer, and I understand some of these players that are out there at the moment. I understand it's horrible when you're not confident in your body. So it took me a wee bit of time to get going, but eventually I did. But I wasn't at my best when I first came up. I never felt anywhere near I was good enough to be playing my best football. And
was the squad similar to the one you left then? Were there any new big players that come in, or any new faces?
There was a few that had moved on, a few other players that came in. But it was just a sort of rebuilding of the club really. Stevie Archibald and that were there, with Johnny Collins. So these guys were there. I was unfortunate because I took my back injury and I never played a lot of times with Stevie, but just been training with him for that short spell and being around him, I just knew he was a top player. Player.
And so how long did it take you to get back into the first team, playing regularly and feeling good?
I was playing in and out. I was playing as best I could, but I never felt really 100% fit, I didn't feel 100% right. Although I was playing, I never felt I was back to myself until obviously the cup season. But I had a whole sort of year out the game. You got to remember, back in the days, you never had the tests and that they could take on your back or anything, and I had a real problem with my back at that time, and I was given so many misinformation to go and get operations, so it was a horrible time for me. I really missed about 18 months, maybe close on 18 months of my career, by getting told to rest, I'd rest and I'd come back and it would just go again, that type of thing.
How did you get sorted in the
But
end?
eventually I got a bit of luck, actually. I was reading an article, Gordon Strachan, it was a number of other players, but it was Gordon Strachan that was talking about, he had heard of a groin injury that everybody was talking about. It kind of sounded a bit like myself, I had about 2 or 3 operations on each side of my 2 in one groin, 1 in the other groin. It still wasn't getting any better. But he talked about an injury called Gilmore's groin that he had investigated and people had told about it. And I thought, well, I'm going to investigate about this. And I asked the guy at Dunfermline College who made inquiries for me, and he said, yeah, it's called the Gilmore's groin. And he introduced me to a surgeon at Murrayfield, Master, I think his name was. And as soon as he saw me, he says, yeah, this has got all the markings of a Gilmore groin injury. He said, we need to operate on it, but it'll be quite quick, and I think we'll have you playing. And I couldn't believe it, I'd waited this long. So anyway, I got the operation, and about 5-6 weeks later on I was back training. It was just like unbelievable, and I'd waited, tried everything. I rested it, I'd done a lot of stretching, I'd done everything I possibly could, and it was tough, really hard on you as a sportsman when you're not playing, but just the relief. And when he got me going, I started to play, I started training, and I thought, I'm back, I could feel. But
you must have gone through periods when you thought you were done. Did you?
I
think
thought
it was all over?
No doubt, yeah. I had a lot of dark times, to be fair. I thought my career was going nowhere, but I had to just be positive and stay positive. But he was definitely the man that changed it, and once he got that operation done, then he got me going. But I waited so long. Nowadays I think they would have detected it in no time, but then they just never had that. And so you had to just go, not just myself, other footballers had to go through with the flow and just take advice from all sorts of people, which I did. But it was devastating, devastating for a lot of things. But once I got back playing, training again, then I started to get my strength up, everything that comes with it. But you don't just miss the amount of football I missed and then suddenly flick a switch, And I think I still had about a year left in my contract, and I started to get going again. So it was a big relief, massive relief. And
I've only played football at a much lower level, but when you've been injured and you've kind of part of your brain's been thinking it could all be over for me, this could be, I maybe not play football again. When you get back on the pitch, just playing again, it's magical, isn't it?
It's magical, just to train, just to be back training. I always missed Stevie Archibald and all these guys. I never played them with training, I never trained with them enough, I never played with them enough, to really appreciate them. And that was, it was just to get back training again and feel like, you're not getting up in the morning worried about is your groin going to be hurting you, do anything. It was just completely gone, and it was just like, okay, I had to work hard, I had to get myself fit and do extra running myself out in the streets. But just to play, like you say, just to play again, train again, it's a great feeling.
And so the day that cemented your Hibs legend status, Mickey, the 1991 League Cup final against Dunfermline, firstly, how was the path to the final? Do you remember many of the games along the way to that game?
Yeah, I know a number of them, but every year it gets different, but I just remember us starting the season well. We started the season really well. We had a lot of good players on the side. We had a good side. We started confidently, had a few good wins, and then we just got on a roll. Early games were, I think, still in Albion type games. I remember that. I always remember a stuffy one against Ayr at Ayr was a tight game. We got through that. We were going into the game, we were in form, that was the key. We were winning every week, most weeks, against the big teams as well. We're playing against big sides and beating them, had points on the board, but we were really in form. There's no feeling like it. Any football player, when you're winning every week, you just can't wait for the next game. Then we got on the roll with the cup early on, and it just we seemed to get through it. Everything seemed to fall in place for us, but we were playing well, and we had good players in the team, your Pat McGinley's and your Brian Hamilton's and your Keith Wright, good players, Graham Mitchell, I could name them all. Well, a really good side, and it was a real good balanced side. And when you get into that feeling, you feel as if you can beat anyone. And the cup games are only like 4 games, and I think you were in the semi-final. It was one of the ones, so just every game got more important.
What do you remember of the day itself, the actual cup final? What was the preparation like for the team? What did you do?
Yeah, it was very. I always remember the manager saying to us on I think it was the Thursday or the Friday, saying, right, what do you want to do? Would you like to go to a hotel or that? And I think the players decided, no, we'd just like to stay at home, stay in your own surroundings,
Yeah, get a good night's sleep.
Because sometimes when you're away, your mind can start wandering, you're away with other people and that, and you can start, the pressure starts to feel. But if you're on your own surroundings, it's just a normal game of football. That's the way I felt it, But it wasn't until about the sort of Wednesday, Thursday, and the pressure just got more and more, and the desperation. It was desperation for me. Desperation. I just wanted to get the game going, And the pressure started to build, and I just thought to myself, we cannot fail here. We must win this. We've got to win it.
Were the boys confident? Were you confident of it?
Yeah, I was confident. We were confident of winning it. We were confident for early doors. We knew we had a tough route. We had to beat the Rangers, but we were confident because we were playing well, and we had players who would score goals for us, and we had a good all-round side. But as I say, later in the week, and the pressure started to build because it was everybody was desperate to win a cup. Win the cup. Desperate. The club, obviously, the year before with the Wallace Mercer episode, that kind of made us even more determined to try and to win the cup. So the pressure started to build, and become Friday, it was fever pitch by then. It was just like it was madness. I just wanted to get the game, get on with it, and get it done. But I always kept, it was the fear of losing. I've always said it was the fear of losing that kept me going to make sure we won it. And
you won a penalty for the team, obviously, that game. Did you, after that?
Some people would say otherwise, but it was a penalty kick, yeah.
And after that penalty went in, were you confident it was going to be yours?
When we got the first one, we never played really well. I think in the first half we were poor. To be fair, it was a poor game. First half we weren't great. I think a lot of it was nerves, because a lot of it was a first cup final. It was a lot of, and the manager settles us doing at half time. He gave us a good team talk, say, just need to relax a wee bit, get out there and play. You've got the tools to do the job, just go out and relax and play. And we did. Once we got the first goal, it was never in doubt after that. Once we got in front, we had quite a strong mentality in the side, but just to see that Tommy McIntyre score the first one, the relief kind of just, it was the matter of just, let's go and get the second one and finish it.
And many memories of the celebrations afterwards?
Great. It was amazing, absolutely amazing. I could tell 100 stories about the day after it, and I've got so many of them. The day after it, the same night, just went on and on, but it felt as if it lasted for about a month, because it was so. But to see the supporters was amazing. I've never seen so many. Even although the Scottish Cup victory would probably go close to it, I've never seen so much support. It was unbelievable. They were coming from everywhere. Everywhere we looked, there was Hibs supporters everywhere. And then we filled the stadium that night to bring the cup. That was full. Outside it was full. All the streets were full. They just come out from everywhere, But it just told me how big the club was, My dad used to always say to me, this is a big club. This is a big club. But I knew it was, obviously, but you never till that day, and then I realised, we've achieved something here. This is big, and the supporters came out everywhere. It was unbelievable.
Other highlights of that second spell at Hibs, Mickey?
I had a lot of good highlights, to be fair. But my biggest highlight was being fit. Being fit was just because all the way through my career I had a horrendous time with injury. It saddened me, to this day it still works me, because I thought I could have made so much more appearances if I'd have been fit to play, but and I realised early that my body just could not take the constant training and playing every week. My body wasn't built for it, simple as that, being a small stature, and I thought I trained hard, I'd done everything I could, but my body just could not keep up with it, and just to play a number of years without injury free was great, just, and I hadn't had that, I'd always had sort of 4 or 5 months and then something would go, and it was a nightmare early in my career, but you just had to show your character to keep going, just keep going, and that's the way I looked at it. But no, just to play regular was the most important thing for me.
And any Hibs goals from that second spell stick in the mind?
Hibs goals, people always ask me that, goals, what was the best goal, is it, but, my best goal for the Hibs was my first goal, and I couldn't even tell you when it was. Couldn't tell you when it was, but my first goal for the Hibs was my best goal, simply because I'd achieved something, like even appearing for the Hibs. If somebody had said to me, X amount of appearances, I would have settled for 4 or 5 just to say I'd pulled the first team jersey on. It was an old saying we used to say, you've made it, we made it. You made it in football. I always wanted to just say, I've made it, I've done it. I played 4 or 5 times for the Hibs. My family would have been delighted with that, but I was fortunate to play a lot more. But no, just to wear the jersey for a number of times would have been more than enough for me.
And was that goal, was it in front of the Hibs fan? Was that the Hibs end? Do you remember?
I can't even remember. Honestly, couldn't tell you my first goal. But the feeling of scoring your first goal, even in the reserves, scoring for the reserves, you're a young boy scoring in the reserves to give you a chance to play in the first team. That's the way you looked at it back in the days, But I couldn't tell you my first goal, but I would remember just the feeling, that feeling of scoring for the first team is something you can't take away from anybody.
And I imagine that second spell at Hibs, getting fit again, winning the cup final, playing again and being fit, the happiest period of your career. After that, we've got a loan spell at Millwall. How did that come about?
Yeah, that was all due to injuries again. It was injuries as well. I was trying to get back. My back went to me again, and I wanted to play top level football, because reserve football doesn't, when you get to an age, reserve football doesn't really cut it with you need to be pushed. So the manager said, well, why not go out and loan? I thought, yeah, I fancy that. And then I went to Jimmy Nicholl, gave me a call and asked me if I would like to go down to Millwall and play. I was in a short spell, but I loved it, absolutely loved it. I was playing, supporters were amazing, great people, but I also witnessed racism, to a number of black players, which kind of shocked me into joining the campaign I'm with now, show racism red card. So that was from the fans, Mickey? Yeah, that was for the fans, and I thought this is not right, I didn't like that. That was the one thing, that was the only memory I didn't like. But apart from that, no, I really enjoyed it. I say great support, players were good, a lot of good players. Unfortunately they got relegated, and that kind of changed the psyche of the club, because I thought I would have stayed there if it came to it, because I just wanted to play. And at that time I was kind of in and out of the Hibs team, and I just wanted to play, and I thought, if it comes to it, I'll just have to stay down here and play, because I just wanted to play football, simple as that. But no, I enjoyed it. As I say, they were a really good club, passionate fans like you would not believe. I remember playing at Tranmere one night, and it was a freezing cold night, a Tuesday night, and I'm thinking there's not going to be many Millwall come up to this game. And I turned up, and I think the stand was full. Couldn't believe it. It was a Tuesday night at Tranmere, and it was full, maybe 3,000 or whatever it was. And I thought they loved their club, and there are a lot of good people there. A lot of good people at Millwall, but I loved the club because it was very passionate. And without passion in football, it's nothing, is it? You need the passion, but no, I certainly enjoyed it.
I'm always a bit puzzled about players seeing out their careers in America or China, without the passionate fans. It's not the same, is it?
No, everybody's different, but I played football to win. I love winning. It doesn't matter if it's 5-a-sides with my friends or playing snooker or whatever it is. I love winning. To go out and just see a career out, no, that wouldn't have. I always wanted to try and play and win a trophy or try and win something, even promotion, or I always looked at it that way. So I don't think I could have just went to America and just see my career or anything like that. I couldn't have done that. No, I was in it for the passion of football. I loved the passion of football, still do to this day,
And you ended your playing days at Motherwell. Was your body given up by that stage?
It was getting close to it. It was getting close to it, but when I met with Alec McLeish, I said that to him. I told him straight away, and he was up front. I was up front with him. I don't think I'll be able to play as many games as you're hoping I can play, but they had a lot of big games coming up. It was obviously my experience helped me. I was thrust right in a relegation battle, and that was an eye opener for me. I'd never been in that relegation battle. Although early days at the Hibs, I was young. Myself, Paul Kane, Eddie May, these type of guys. We went into a lot of big games, against the Rangers at Ibrox and trying to get points, and we were struggling at the time, But when I went to Motherwell, that was an eye opener for me, right in a relegation battle. But we managed to survive, and I loved it. Tough. It was tough. And anybody that thinks that going into a relegation battle isn't, it's a lot tougher than when you're winning football matches, because every game matters, But my experience kind of helped me a wee bit, and actually I got going again. But I couldn't train every day. I wasn't training every day. I was training every couple of days, and you can't do that top level football. You just got to. But I managed my body to play on a Saturday for a wee while, a good bit. But the last day we played Dunfermline to stay up, and that was a massive game. The pressure on that game was huge, and we needed to win, which we did, and we managed to stay up. But I always remember the Motherwell supporters running on the pitch and crying, and it means a lot to people. You don't realise it. Don't realise it until you're amongst it. But I remember staff were terrified. They're thinking about losing their jobs, and they love playing at the club. And I remember speaking to a few of them and saying, if we could lose our job and things like that, and it kind of hit home, because football are kind of spoiled at times. We're quite spoiled from it. You think, it doesn't matter. But I was always very grounded. So I was very grounded. I wouldn't like anybody seeing anybody losing their job at any age, or because I was brought up in a working class community, so I know what it meant to these people. But I always mind one or two sitting down with a couple of the cleaners, unbelievable, sitting talking about football, but they were terrified. Absolutely. And they'd been at Motherwell a long time. They knew what Motherwell was about, and I thought, what, this is big. And it gave me a wee boat, and I thought myself, I need to give myself, we need to make sure we're ready for this, and make sure we try and save them, and we did. And I always mind them sitting on the sidelines with tears in their eyes and thinking, and it means a lot to these people, not just us on the pitch playing the game, it's the effect to everybody else, and I realised that, and I always stuck in my mind when I got involved in football again, that it was something I would always realise how much it matters to the kit man, the cleaners, the groundsmen, football clubs. They've got a big part in a football club, and I always made sure that when I got involved in football again, that they meant something to me, So
that day at Motherwell, avoiding relegation, probably emotionally that was up there with, almost anything in your career apart from the cup final, maybe.
100%. Oh no, it was definitely was in big games, big pressure games, because yourself, if they go out the league, you're thinking they could struggle to get back up again, and that's what happens. You see clubs at the moment, your Falkirks of this world, your Dunfermlines, once you get down there, it's difficult to get going again and get going. So no, they were big pressure games, but a different type of pressure, When you're winning, it's great, You say, well, we lose, it hurts. But with the devastation around relegation to a football club can be for a long time. And
the end of your career then, Mickey, was there a moment when you just thought, that's it? Or was it the end of a contract? Or how did it finish?
Well, what I was still under contract, and the manager came to Motherwell, and I think I'd still about a year and a bit of my contract to go, and he pulled me in the office and said, well, I don't think that you'll be able to play in my team type thing, which happens in football. I never really had a big problem with that. And I said, okay then. And he said, well, trying to get you moved on. And I said, okay then.
And how old are you then, by that point, Mickey, roughly?
32, 33, something like that. Anyway, I said, well, if that's quite clear that you don't think I could play in your team, then I'll just wait till I get a move. But it never came. And what happened was, Billy Davis then got the manager's job, and just out the blue, I used to discuss football quite a lot with Billy, and I was sitting talking to Billy hours about football, because he was very thoughtful in football, and we used to talk about just modern game, just game of football and whatever it was. And then when he got the job, right out of the blue, Billy got the job. The manager moved on, Billy got the job, and he just pulled me in one day and said, how would you like to be the manager of 21s and 18s? Just right out of the blue. And I thought, I need to think about it, because I still wanted to play, And I played in a game against Kilmarnock in a reserve game, and I remember a ball going over the fullback's head, and I virtually thought about, I need to chase this. It wasn't instinctive anymore. It was like, do I need to chase that? Because I was worried. I know I was getting problems with my back at the time. I thought, and just the thought of that, I thought, you know what, after the game I said, I can't do this any longer. I'm not going to go into a football field wondering, can I chase this? Can I go for this? Can I do that? And I thought, nah, I can't play football like that. So I made my mind up, and I said to Billy, yeah, I'll do that. I'll take the manager under 21s and 18s job. And I went right into the coaching side of it from there. But I'd been coaching for many years. I've been coaching youth, amateur players for years, since the age of 18. So
do you mean by that, do you mean giving out advice, or actually training amateur teams?
I was taking teams on a Sunday morning.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I was training them at night. Actually come about when my back injury. I thought, something, I've got time here. I've got time, so let's go to the other side and let's go into the coaching, which I did.
Any badges in those days, or was it
no
badges, knowledge of the game?
Like that. I just went into the coaching because I wanted to learn how to deal with men, how to deal with people, people skills, that type of thing. And it was the greatest learning curve, and I've always said that, and I still will. It was the greatest learning curve I ever had when coaching, was coaching young amateur players. Well, they were older than me, actually. A lot of them were older than me, men. And I was like maybe 18, 19. And you're dealing with different characters, and how to get the best out of them, and how to build a team, and that type of thing. It was great learning for me. So I'd had the good bit of experience in the coaching side, but when I went into the Motherwell, into the youth setup, I was I wanted to do it anyway at some point. I wanted to do it, but come quicker than what I expected, Then I went into the youth, and I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. Successful years there. I worked with a lot of good players. and learnt a hell of a lot about the game, you know. But as I say, it wasn't all so much about badges at that time. It was about managing young boys, up and coming football players.
And did you have any ambitions at that point to go on to manage a team, you know, as opposed to the underage teams?
Yeah, I did. Quite fancied being a manager. There again, I went to Kildinbeath after that, Motherwell. I went to Kildinbeath as assistant to big Keith Wright, who asked me to come along and help him. Enjoyed it a good couple of years, two and a half years I think we were there. I loved it. But then I had to make a decision which really threw me off. It was, I had a chance of an operation on my back which needed to be done.
Yeah.
You know, because at this time I was really struggling. You know, I was struggling to get off my sofa, and I had to manage my day every day, and I thought it just got worse and worse. So I had a chance of a operation to get my back. It was a gamble at that time. It was a big gamble, but I thought, you know something, I've got to do this. So I had to virtually get the operation and then just forget about football for the next sort of 18 months, 2 years. Yeah, but about 2 years. I just gave it up. I just gave everything up because I had to get my health right. But that was a 2 year that I kind of missed in the game, you know. So I was still going to watch games and things, but it wasn't the same. I had to give myself a good bit of time for the recovery and the mental side of it, and that, make sure you could walk properly, this type of stuff. But it had to be done, and it was very successful, you know. If I look back, and that was the best thing I've ever done in my life, without a shadow of a doubt. But
you're back playing football for fun now, aren't you?
Yeah, playing five-a-sides, and if you'd asked me to do that then, and I would have laughed at you. They just went, no chance. But it just shows you how far it came on in the medical side of the game and whatever, but that kind of set me back a lot, good bit actually, confidence wise as well, because I was going into training sessions and you're still not right, you know yourself mentally right, you're just trying to make sure you get your feeling right, you know. So I've done a couple of sessions. I thought, you know what, I need to give myself, I need to just switch off it here. But it was tough 18 months, 24 months of your career, just virtually try to get your health right, but it had to be done.
And obviously the game's moved on and changed in so many ways. You know, the money's gone absolutely mad. In those days, I mean, you're not a drinker yourself, but was there a big pub culture in those days?
Yeah, it was definitely that. But it didn't matter about you just laugh at people nowadays talking about the culture and the pub culture. I played with players who liked a drink, but when it come to a Saturday they were ready, you know. They were trained all week, you know, so they never maybe get the occasional one that would maybe drink more than they should have drank, but most of the time they were ready. Professionals, you know, they knew how to, okay, Thursday, Friday I need to be ready for the Saturday type thing. But yeah, but I think that was it. It was just the way it was then, you know. They used to say we play hard and we drink hard, you know. That was the way it was. But I was one of those that I was never involved in drink. I never ever liked drink, but to say that it curtailed them, yeah, it maybe curtailed them in terms of their fitness and things like that, but they certainly trained harder. They trained as hard as a modern day player and thought about the game as much, and you know, because you've got to remember, in those days there was bonuses on the line, you know. It wasn't like some of the players of modern day are on so much money, the bonus doesn't mean much. I was playing with older guys who had families and had mortgages, and so their bonus meant a lot to them, and if you made a mistake during a game and it cost them, they told you, you know, because it meant a lot to them. So that was the kind of era you were in. And you're playing against teams whose players are going to the pub as well, so everyone's on a kind of level playing field. It was level playing field, but it all mattered. They loved their football. You know, the winning meant everybody, meant everything to everybody, all football players. And I've got to say, I think a lot of players nowadays, I wouldn't say so much up in Scotland because I don't think the money is so much, but certainly watching players who run absolutely fortunes, I look and I think, do they really care that much? And it hurts me when I see that. Sometimes I switch the TV off because I just look, because when you've been in the game as long as I've been and other people have been, you can sense it. You can sense when a player's really got it. It's got that edge to their game, or if it's just a game of football. So when I see that, it frustrates me so much, you know. You would not believe it, shouting at that TV, and that just annoys me so much, you know, because I don't think they realise how lucky they are, you know, how lucky they are to be playing football. Younger guys, young folk, young boys have got that dream is to become a professional football player, and these guys have got all the wealth and that, and they've got all the chance, and I think a lot of them just disregard that and think it's just, oh well, the world owes me a living. I don't like that. I think they should be very, very thankful for the chance that they've got to play in football. And it's an odd, maybe a facet of the modern game as well, that I hear quite a lot of stories of footballers, good footballers playing at a very high level, who don't seem to like football. You know, they're doing it purely as a job to make some money, but for me, without that
absolute love of the game, I think why would you want to become a professional footballer in the first place without absolutely loving it?
That's right. I think a lot of it is just the riches, isn't it? It's just the riches, some of them. And some people are like that. Some people are just, some have got the drive and some have not got the drive. There's winners and there's losers. There's winners who just want to play football for the sake of winning, and there's others who the money just falls in their lap and they think, I'm getting paid a lot of money here, I'll just go with it, whereas the older school guys like myself, the old grunts like myself, who worked very, very hard to become a professional football player, it didn't just happen for me. It didn't just happen for the young players in those days. You had to work hard for it, and that's what works me, because I just think they take it for granted nowadays, and that will never live with me. That will never sit with me, because I always think that you should be very fortunate to play the game of football at the highest level.
But that pure love for football that I think almost everyone had in the old days, that kind of thing, is carried on. You see it in wee patches like Jason Cummings playing football with his mates. What was that, the night before the cup semi-final or final or something? Just a pure love of football.
That's it, and it's something it's kind of lost to the game, isn't it? There's a lot of them, but don't get me wrong, there is people out there who really care. I mean, I've worked in junior football and I've worked in amateur football, and it's these guys that I look at, I think, you know what, I've got so much respect for them, because these guys are working all week, but they love their game on a Saturday. It means everything to them, absolute everything. I was shocked when I got involved in it, how much they really care, how much they care about playing their game on a Saturday. It brought me back down to earth for a while. I thought, this is what real football's about. These guys are training, they're getting into training on a Tuesday night, Thursday night, they train, they work all day, they're at their training on a Tuesday, work on the Thursday, then they go to training on the Thursday, then they play on the Saturday, and if they lose, it's like their whole weekend's ruined. And I've got so much respect for these guys. That's what football's all about for me. That's what football should be about. Professional level, okay, there's more pitfalls, but you should never lose that love for the football. You should never lose that love for I'm playing a Wednesday with my mates. It's a lot of guys I got invited along, taxi drivers who I better mention it, because they'll probably maybe listen to this. So all the taxi drivers who I play on a Wednesday when I can anyway, and they absolutely love it. Some of these guys are in their 60s.
You're still taking some heavy tackles in that game?
Well, not so much, because I'm not too bad actually. They're a good bunch, great guys. I've got so much respect for them, because they just turn up and they want to play football. It's like World War II to win a game of football, and I love it. And sometimes I get embarrassed at myself, because I love winning. I just, and I get embarrassed. There's many a time I've jumped in that car and seething, being seething. Took a deep breath and think, right, but that will never leave me, I don't think. But when I see these guys, they just turn up to play football, and they do anything to get there on a Wednesday for a game of football for an hour and a half. And I think that's the guys I've got respect for, and I'll never lose that respect for these people.
Looking back, who were your best mates in football, Mickey?
Oh, I've got so many. If I missed somebody out there, I've got so many people that have been involved with football, and players that I played with, but Keith Wright, Gordon Hunter, Paul Kane, whoever. I must admit, I don't think I think there's so many, so many guys that I wouldn't like to say, he's my best friend, because I think if I meet up with them, I love meeting up with all the guys, Big Gordon Ray and Wally Jamieson, Graham Harvey, all these guys that I played with in other clubs as well. It's great when you've not seen somebody for a wee while, when you've played alongside, and you get to see them and you say, how you doing, I just had a text this morning for Gary O'Connor, actually texted me asking me to play in a game. Imagine Gary O'Connor asking me to play in a game. Anyway, and I texted him back, say, I'll play for you, no problem, Gary. But it's when you actually see, I've seen me Derek Riordan last week there, and I've never seen him since for a long time, having a good chat.
He's a phenomenal talent.
And he was a great player, a great lad, and a good lad. I wouldn't say there's an out-and-out best friend, in football. But I've got a lot of respect for them all, because I played with them. A lot of them made me, a lot of them helped me along my career. So I wouldn't say there's a person that outright was my best friend, but I think I've got a lot of friends in football. I'm not, you need to ask them, but I think I've got a lot of friends in football. So
you have your back operation then, and that's obviously quite a long period out of football while you're recovering. Do you think maybe that the back operation and it helping you so much maybe helped with your transition from being a footballer to being out of football?
Yeah, definitely.
Rather than it suddenly stopping you, maybe that was...
Yeah, it was difficult. I don't think anybody could ever imagine how tough it is for a professional football player. I've said this many times, especially when you've had to give up the game or you're retired, because you've got to remember, from the age of 16-year-old, 17-year-old, everything was done for me. You got up in the morning, you knew you had to be at training for 9 o'clock, whatever. You started training at 9 o'clock, you finished at whatever time it was, you went back home. If you had a game, you went to a hotel. Everything was done for me, like a military way of living. Every day you went to training, you knew, get up, get in the car, go to training, come back. It was just every day. Now when that's taken away from you and you're used to everyday living with a cause, a purpose, when you've got a purpose to get up in the morning and suddenly it's taken away from you, it's like the world's collapsed. And I mean that when I say that, your world collapses. And I can see now a lot of ex-football players struggling with mental health, and that's what it is. It's that feeling of being in the changing room and everybody, what wouldn't I say, spoiling you, because everything's done for you.
Yeah.
You go to a hotel, it's paid for. If you go for something to eat, it's paid for. Everything's done for you. And then suddenly you're in the real world. Where you're getting up in the morning, you're having to think, what did I do today?
How did you feel that time at first,
It was terrible, horrendous. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy, but it's horrendous. Getting up in the morning and trying to find a purpose to get through the day, sitting, obviously with the operation, I couldn't do a lot of walking and that. Not just me, it's not just about me, I'm talking about I can understand where football players at the moment struggle, who have maybe just gave up the game or finished with injury or whatever it may be. And I've always said there should be something in place to try and help these guys. A bit of coaching, to go and coach once or twice a week, 3 times a week, just to keep them active, because there's so many people out of football who shouldn't be out of football, in my opinion. So many good coaches, managers, physios, whatever it may be, who have got so much experience in the game. That should never be brushed aside. That should always be used. It should always be in the game, because these guys have done it for 20 odd years, and some of them just disappear out the game. That should never happen. These guys have got experiences that could pass on to managers, on to coaches, on to players. The great Tam McNiven, who I worked with at Hibs, old Tam McNiven was a genius in his day, and I still go back now. I still do things that he taught me when I was 16, 17 year old. The ice, how to ice, just all sorts of stuff that he taught me. That man's now, I think he'd maybe be in his 80s just now. These guys, you can't lose them to the game. Unfortunately, we are. And that worries me. That worries me about the games, because you can't come off a coaching course and suddenly become a manager. Just doesn't happen. And if you look at the ones who have actually tried it, they fail, because they've not got the experience at the back of them. They've not got experience, and they've not spoke to people who have got experience to teach them the ropes and learn them, give them advice at certain times. So that's the worrying thing. But in terms of when you leave the game, it's very, very tough. Very tough. And
had you saved enough money from your wages in your career to be reasonably comfortable when you finished, or did you feel under pressure to get a job, to join the real world?
No, I was very fortunate. I'd always had another income outside the game, because I learnt early on. My dad would always say to me, you need to get involved in something else, have something to fall back on. So I was fortunate that way, and it was just as well because I was out of the game. I couldn't go and get a job, because I was virtually, I couldn't train, I couldn't go any jogging, I couldn't run, I couldn't do anything like that. So I was virtually just housebound for months, getting in the car to maybe go to the shops. That was about it. And then but I had to do it, So I'd always had my mind, I always had an income outside the game to keep me going for times like that. But I never ever thought it would come as quick, to be honest. I always thought, because when you're a footballer and you're involved in the game, you always think you're in the game. You'll always be in the game. But when it happens to you and you aren't, then it's tough. And the saddest thing was, it was always told by an old great man who I dealt with at Motherwell, Dave McPalland, who's my mentor. He was a genius. But he always said to me, Michael, when you leave the game, you'll find that your phone doesn't go too often. And he was 100% right. All the people I thought they would maybe give me a call to offer me something never arrived. So you kind of got shocked a wee bit. You think, no. And the ones that did, I still keep in touch with today. But the ones that I did expect, it was so true. It's a lonely game, football. Once you're out of it, it's a lonely game. And he told me that you'll be surprised at the phone calls they get offering you a job or help. And he was 100% correct.
And I suppose you'd think there's not really room in football for all the ex-professionals, but there should be, shouldn't there? There should be some sort of pathway to ease them out and back into real life.
Well, that's what I think. That's something that I think needs to be looked at. I think we definitely need to look at, because I suffered it myself. I suffered leaving the game and at a loss, being at a loss for number of years thinking, I only know football. I mean, I couldn't go and be a joiner or a plumber or anything like that. I'd only known football since I was 16-year-old, 17-year-old. I never really had a trade as such, you know. I couldn't go back into something else. I was very fortunate because I had other things outside football, but what about the players who haven't, you know? And it's easy to get caught up in the bubble. You get caught up in the bubble, no matter what anybody tells them. The young guys, I've always said to young players, you know, you get caught up in this bubble where you think it's always going to be there for you, but suddenly when it's not there, it's hard. And I think there should be something set aside for players when they leave the football to have some kind of purpose in life, some kind of purpose they could pass their experiences on to young coaches, managers, players. To me, it's a no-brainer. I think they're the ones that could help people so much, you know. I see young coaches who have been on the coaching and got all their badges, then they go straight into a management job, and then they struggle because the coaching badges do nothing for you. They can help you do training sessions and things like that, but they don't actually help you manage people. You know, and that's where I think ex-players or ex-managers even who are out the game, they've got so much knowledge, we should be using it.
We're going to move on to lighter topics now, Mickey. I was going to ask you what your sideline out with. That should have been my obvious question there, but I didn't ask in case it was something top secret.
No. I've had different stuff. I was into property. I've done a lot of property for years, you know, so that was a wee help for me. And now I do show racism red card. I do a wee bit for show racism red card campaign. I do loads for them. For them. So I'd like to mention that actually. I'm quite passionate about that, you know, very passionate about it. So what I do, Barry, just go along and seek donations for them. Go out to people, businesses, and have a chat. About and let them know that what the work that they do, going into schools and that type of stuff, you know.
So do they employ you as a fundraiser?
They do. They employ me just to go out and mainly for do coaching sessions. I do coaching sessions. I do school work, that type of stuff. But I've just took a new role on just seeking donations for the charity because people think it's flush with money, but it's not. You know, that's the. So I just go out and potter about and speak to businesses and see if I can raise some funds for them, you know.
That desire came from your time at Millwall.
That's right. A bit of Millwall and a bit of everything, really. I seen it with Mark Walters way back in the day, and that angered me. You know.
Tynecastle, remember that. So Mickey, we were talking about who was the best player that you've ever played against and alongside. I'm sure you've got a long list of those. So give me some candidates.
I've had so many. I change it all the time. People always ask me, and I always change. Because there is so many, you know, and you forget, you forget, Barry.
Give me a few. I don't just need one.
Great players that I played alongside. Well, at the Hibs, for me, I think Archibald would be up there. I think Stevie Archibald was a great player. But there was many good players in the cup winning side, you know. Players that Graham Mitchell was a great player, you know. Pat McGinley, Keith Wright, good players. Paul Kane, maybe back in the day, Gordon Hunter. So many, Willie Muller. Lot of good players, Johnny Collins. You know, I could go on and on and on. The list would be endless, you know. And then played down in England, played alongside Mick Hartford, great player. A guy by the name of Brian Steen, who's a really good player. Steve Foster, the ones I've mentioned earlier, all good players. Against, well, as a sort of short list, you know, I remember I played against Paul Gascoigne, he was a fantastic football player. He was a great player, but I could also name so many. Paul McStay's, you know, great player. Davy Cooper, Bobby Russell was a great player with Rangers. Davy Probian with Celtic, you know. I could go on and on, you know, and you know the worst thing is, Barry, I don't want to leave people out. You know, because
we can always edit them in later on.
There's so many of them, but certainly players that I played alongside, there were so many, and against probably some of the top players, David Cooper would be up there. Brian Laudrup at the Rangers would be up there. He was but even down south in England, I played against a lot of good players. Stuart Pearce was a great player, you know. So many. There's so many to and ones that I've probably forgot, you know. It's just because in and out your career. When I played at Motherwell, I played against a lot of good players. I played with good players. Tommy Coyne was a great player.
What about underrated players? Who do you think?
Well, I thought, to be fair, underrated players, it's not really till you play alongside them you think, oh, what a player he is. Tommy Coyne would be up there. Tommy Coyne, I played with him at Motherwell, and he was a great player. Really intelligent. You know, I was like late 30s at the time, and he pulled me before a game one time, and he said to me, right, Mick, he says, what I'm going to do is, he told me this wee movement he was going to do. And I'm 30 odd year old. This is what I'm going to do. When the ball comes here, I want you to do this. And I'm thinking, okay. I'd never heard that before. No, I'd never heard that wee. So I thought, okay. And it was in the first half. It was against Wraith Rovers, never forget it. And he did the movement, and I played the ball into space, and it was in goal. You know, I thought,
Simple stuff.
Simple stuff, but a really good player, intelligent. If he'd had, I hope he's not listening, because, but if he'd had an hour yardie pace, he'd have been a top player, for my opinion. You know, but
scored a lot of goals for Celtic as well. Once he found his feet at
great
Celtic,
player. He was very underrated, you know, because I don't think he got a lot of. I don't think they underestimated how good a player he was. But to me, he was right up there. And I played with a lot of good players, but he was right up there, definitely.
And as a Hibs fan, Mickey, how did you feel when Hibs finally won the cup in 2016?
Were you
there?
Yeah, I was there. Yeah, I was there with all my family. Great day. It was a unbelievable day. It was just like, I took my son along, who's hadn't been in a cup final, and when we won the cup, he's seen grown men beside me crying, and he was looking at me as if to say, what's the big deal here, you know? I'm thinking, well, Harrison, you've only been to one cup final and we've won it. You know, I don't care how many Scottish Cup finals we've been to, or semi-finals or whatever, and we've never won it. My uncles never saw it, my granddad never saw it. You don't know how lucky you were. But that was just a great day. It was just like it seemed it was in the air, wasn't it? It was just in the air. It was written in the stars, as they say, because he just felt it. He just felt it when we Stokes. He just looked on it all day. He just looked on it. He was on a mission to win the cup. It just seemed to be one of their ones, but I just felt it. I felt it all the way through there. You know, I remember during the week I'd seen so many games. He lost them in cup finals and semis and that. When
you were 2-1 down, you're probably thinking it's the same old story.
But you know, I never felt that. I always felt that we're in this here. I just had a feeling. But during the week, I remember saying to myself, can I handle another misery? You know, I really only went because of my boy. He kept annoying me. Oh, Dad, didn't you go? And I thought, right, and I couldn't suffer in our Scottish Cup semi. I thought, getting beaten in the final would just be. But something told me that week, this is our year. I just don't know what it was. Something told me you must go, you know. And I was glad it was, because it was a great day for the supporters. It just put Hibs on the map, didn't it? I've got guys now who still say to me that day when they sang The Sunshine on Leith was the greatest days of their lives, you know. And you've got people all over the world who were actually tuning in. It's still on YouTube. People still listen to it. You've got supporters from other clubs saying it's still the greatest days. I've heard Celtic supporters saying to me, my big mate's a big Celtic man, saying never seen anything like it. You know, guys that have won Scottish Cups seen it and think that the feeling that day, you know, the song, that when they started singing the song, it was just amazing. It was one of the days. I hope we have it again. But I don't think it will ever get surpassed, to be honest. I don't think it'll ever be surpassed unless we won the league or something like that. It was just a big special day for us.
It was a long wait, Mickey, wasn't it?
It was a long wait. Oh dear, aye, definitely. Too long.
I was going to ask you a bit about family. You're a happily married man, obviously. Your wee boy, is he a football? He's a football fan. He's seen Hibs win the cup. Does he like playing football?
Yeah, he loves football. He loves football. He's just turned 15. Yeah, he loves his football. Mother boy wasn't so much into football. We tried, but he was more into his music, you know. He was more into music, and I kind of sensed that early on that it wasn't for him, you know. And I never pushed him. I would never push him. But Mother boy, he's got Harrison, the young one. Yeah, he loves his football, and he wants to be a football player. No, he wants to be a footballer. But I keep telling him, you know, just give it your best. Give it your best, and if it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you. But don't think you've got anything to prove, because you've not. You just go out to play football. Like when I was a young man, I just went out to play football. Wasn't for to be play with the Hibs or play wherever. I just wanted to go and that's what I say to him. Go and enjoy it, and absolutely loves it, you know. And going through a bad spell his team at the moment, but they're only young lads, and I think adversity is a great thing to have, you know. Adversity is where you find out about yourself as a player, as a young player or an older player. Adversity is when you're real. That's when you find out. Not when you're winning every week. When you're winning every week, game's easy. But adversity is when you challenge him. He seems to have a wee bit of character about him. So, but as I say, I will let him go his own road. I never get too much involved in him. I just let him go and play. And if he's got to play a good level of football, so be it.
And you're coaching at the moment as well, Mickey?
Yeah, I was coaching, but I've pulled out at the moment. I'm not doing anything at the moment. Hopefully, try and get back in it at some point. But it's difficult, you know, because it's a lot of jobs in there that people have been in a long time, you know. And there's a lot of good coaches and good managers out there, you know. Even I was working at junior level, some great, good, really good coaches and managers involved at the levels, every level in Scottish football. And you know something, it gives me, I get a wee kind of sense of pride about it, to be honest, because I've got this wee feeling that when people come into this country, come up to Scotland, they kind of think, oh, I'll just go up to the Premier League, Scottish Premier League, and I've done it all. This will be a cakewalk for me. And then they realise that there's a lot of good coaches and managers in Scotland at every level. Trust me, a lot of good coaches, managers. But just that our game suffers because financially it suffers. But I always think that if he had the financial clout of some of the clubs down south and wherever it may be, I think we could produce another Sir Alex Ferguson, another Bill Shankly, Jock Stein. Because one thing about us up here, we know our football. We know our football. I'm very proud of that. Very proud of that.
You must be quite happy the way the Hibs team are going under Jack Ross.
Yeah, it's
going
going great.
Form.
Going great. Yeah, I was just done an article yesterday for that. Yeah, I think he's done a great job. He's came in, settled it a wee bit. He's changed things, which I think they needed. He's seen it, he's looked at it, and he's brought in a few good players.
Two up front, like Neil Lennon's doing at Celtic.
He's brought better players in. That's the key to it. I was just talking about that in my article. A lot of people get carried away with tactics for me, and game's about players. The game's about, if you've got good players, if you can put better players on that you had before, you become a better team. And all the multi-tactics and coaching and whatever can only go so far. You've got to look and say, I'm going to build a team here. Individuals don't win things. Teams win titles, teams win cups, or whatever it may be. And I think that's what he's done. He's brought a freshness to the club. He's brought younger laddies, younger boys come in, and he's done well in the market, brought them in. My one worry is the loan signings. I don't think you can build a club around loan signings. I don't think you can do that. In fact, I know it's an impossibility, because once these boys move on again, then you suddenly got to move to another 3 or 4 loan signings. That's got to change at Hibs. Got to change. If it doesn't change, I don't think they'll get the success that they deserve, to be honest. But hopefully with the new chairman coming in, Jack's input and that'll push us on. And
do you get along to Easter Road much these days?
Yeah, I go to as many games as I can. Yeah, I go along to see my old buddies. I like to see the old buddies, K&O and all these type of guys. And Gordon Hunter's, I better mention him, because I never mentioned him the last time. He wasn't happy. And the big man, when he's angry, he gets that big red face on. So, and I like to see the guys. I like to see all the guys I played with back in the day as well. So I get as many games as I possibly can, yeah.
Thank you so much for your time, Mickey. We've got a few quick questions to finish.
Yep.
Other grand adventures in life? You got any big plans left?
Big plans? Oh, no, to be fair, I'm quite a boring person. I just like kicking about and doing the things I like to do.
You back to the pigeons again? The pigeons back?
My pigeons, my wee boys got them. I'd probably like to get back into my dogs. That's the biggest bane in my life is the greyhounds. The greyhound game in Scotland is it's finished, to be honest. When I first started, there was hundreds of tracks, plenty of tracks. Now we're only down to 2 tracks, and it's sad to see where the greyhound games went, because I loved it. Anything sport, I'm no one for saying, I'm going to go to Las Vegas, or I'm not going to jump off a mountain, or I'm not that type of person. I just like my easy gait. If I fancy doing something, I'll do something. But I'm just happy potting about, doing the things I do. I'm very passionate about the campaign, Show Racism Red Card, which I do a lot of work with.
And you've got a book of your life coming out in probably 2021 maybe, or later 2020? Yeah, how did that come about?
Well, it was actually just I had a conversation with a lad, Andy McVannon, who came to me one day and said, how do you fancy doing a book? And I went, yeah, I'll only do a book. I said, look, I don't want it to be a book about my career. What I wanted it to be is I wanted a book to try and inspire young people, young lads who are the similar stature to myself, 5'2" with their hands up type thing, and say that it can be done. Hard work, perseverance and practice, it can be done. So I went doing that kind of angle. I don't want it to just be about my career, what I did. I wanted young people from a tough background, or the background of not a great deal, that they can push on in life and do something with themselves. But it's all down to just having the courage and having the perseverance to keep going, and get discipline into life. Push it and don't not to give in. Not just say because somebody tells you can't do it, to do it. Well, that's me. He's told me I'm not good enough. No, you've got to overcome a lot of hurdles, So hopefully that's what the book will do: inspire younger people to push on in life.
And if you weren't a footballer, what would you have been, Mickey? Do you reckon?
Oh, what would I have been? I honestly couldn't tell you. I just wanted to be a long distance lorry driver. That's what I wanted to be.
Just for the Yorkies? Because
my dad was a long distance lorry driver, so I was brought up, going in his lorry everywhere. Yeah. He'd take us in summer. He would take us, because he would delivering everywhere. He would take us with him, and we would. So I never had mad ambitions. I just wanted to be I just wanted to work. I just wanted to be a worker, and that kind of, because my dad was doing it. Basically, it was when my dad was a long distance lorry driver. I thought, I quite fancy that. That's all I thought about, but obviously about doing another route. But no, I never had big ambitions. I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. I just took it as it come,
Who would you have liked to have played alongside from football history that you didn't?
Oh, I've missed one out there by now. I've missed a player I played alongside. Kenny Dalglish. I only played in one game. Genius. Oh, what a footballer. Who would I like to have played alongside?
Yeah, who you didn't.
Oh, who would I like to? I'd love to have played alongside Roy Keane. Aye, Roy Keane's my type of guy. A bit down born like myself. And wanted to win so bad. I'd love to have been in a changing room with him. I'd like to have been involved with guys like that who would inspire you, maybe kick you up the backside. And I'd also love to have been under Sir Alex Ferguson as the manager, just to see if I could handle his rants. But they were the two. Roy Keane, I'd love to have played against Roy Keane, many others, but he's just one that I like just like his drive and his passion, and sometimes I don't think he can handle the modern day player, he just looks at them as if they think, oh, what's this all about, but nah, he's a player I'd like to have played alongside.
Your proudest achievements? Cup final, avoiding relegation? Anything else that's up there with those?
Proudest achievement? My proudest achievement was wearing a strip for the Hibs as a younger, definitely, because that was everything. My dad wanted me to play for them, so I done it. Granda, my uncles, just to put the strip on for the Hibs was probably my proudest achievement, just simply because of my family. That was probably it, yeah.
And your epitaph, Mickey, how would you like to be remembered? What's on the Mickey Weir gravestone?
Honest. I think I'd be honest. And a good person. I don't want people, I would never like to people say, oh, he's a horrible sod. Maybe on the football field I was I was terrible. I was terrible. Even in the changing room as a manager, a coach, I do that, but deep down I know I'm a good person. So honesty, being a good person, and somebody who tried to make things better for other people, that would be it.
Mickey Weir, thank you very much for coming on Life Stories with Thelma FM and the Living Memory Association. Thank you so much for your time.
Pleasure.
If you have a story to share, please pop in to see us at the Wee Museum of Memory on the second floor of Ocean Terminal in Leith. At the time of recording, we are closed in the midst of the coronavirus, but hopefully you're lucky enough to be listening to the show when the pandemic is but a memory. You can also visit our Facebook page to keep up with our regular events and view our wonderful photo videos and much more on our YouTube channel just by searching for the Living Memory Association. We also have a brilliant website at www.livingmemory.org.uk hosting over 3,000 photos in conjunction with Edinburgh Collected. And also an on-demand radio station called Thelma FM, which you can find on Facebook and Mixcloud. Until next time, we bid you farewell.